I'm having a Sunday kind of moment. I'm watching a video with Denzel Washington in promotion of the Gladiator movie. And he says something that I had been studying for the last 20 years of my life, so I knew exactly what he was talking about. And he said, first you learn, then you earn, then you return. Sounds good, but not that simple. And there are stages before you get to that learning. First, you're nurtured, and then you're allowed. Think about when you're given an allowance in your youth and what you're given that allowance for. Okay, you're allowed to get it wrong more than a few times before you learn to get it right. So before you even get to the allowance, before you even get to the learning stage, you are allowed to have fun without worry. You're allowed to stress less. It's not your job to stress at this time. It is the adults' time to stress. And if you get it wrong at that time, you are not responsible for that at that time in your youth. The elders are. So first you are allowed to have fun without worry, without stress, without having to worry about financial situations, not having to worry too much about the major consequences of your actions because your parents or your elders would have to pay for that. So first you are allowed. Then you are taught by your parents and your peers and so on. But the true learning doesn't happen in the way that they teach you. It is when you are initiated into your purposeful becoming. And this is the purposeful becoming part is so important because you will never earn anything that is worth keeping or that you will be allowed to keep until you enter that purposeful becoming. Because if you are not aligned with your purpose, I can guarantee that it will not work out the way that you think it will work out. That's why all of these people out here that are trying to destiny swap, it will not last as long as they think it's going to last because it is not a part of their purposeful becoming. They see with the eyes of greed, but they are skipping this most crucial step before you get to earning. And that is self-discovery and discovery in general. And this is where many of you will begin to self-discover in the wilderness portion of your life. And this is taking everything that you have learned from your peers, and now you're bringing that into your next phase to learn from the one and the only, the truth, the divine, himself, so to speak. You are getting ready to learn in this phase, and you might discover that everything you learned in that box, in that sheltered space, is not going to match up to what it is that you are to learn to become your purposeful self. And so at this point, you have to forget almost everything you learned inside of the box to learn everything that you need to learn outside of the box, because you can't, or it's not beneficial to take those lessons you learned inside of the box outside of the box, because it's a different environment and it will not work the same. And so now you're outside of the box and you're in your wilderness time of your life, and you're having to dig deep to discover your true treasure. See, at first you were allowed and given an allowance, but that never really belonged to you. That belonged to your elders, and they were sharing these nuggets with you. Now it's time for you to dig deep and discover. And this is the phase that I don't want you to miss out on. Because so you have your allowance phase, then you have your your taught phase, and now you have your application phase. Okay? So in application, this is where you learn that what you thought you knew, you never really knew. Or you did not know yet as you ought to know. That's biblical. The Bible says that if any man thinketh he knoweth anything, he knoweth not yet as he ought to know. That yet is significant. Because when you are initiated into the truth and you're purposeful becoming, for some of you, you learn that you knew not yet as you ought to know. And so now you have to apply. And in this phase, it's difficult. It gets down dirty, and you learn that they're not responsible for you. What do I always tell y'all? I always tell you that the word your has 4 letters, not 4 people. So your life is your life to live. The word you has 3 letters, not 3 people. So your life is your life to live, and you're going to be responsible for your actions and the consequences thereof, or the lack thereof. And so this is where we are right now, in this wilderness. And I'm telling you, you have everything you need to do what it is that you must in the wilderness. But your purposeful becoming is all about you getting to that earning, that point to where you become productive. But there's even more that you get to after you earn. Okay? There's, yes, that returning part that he was talking about. So he was summarizing the process, but do not skip out on your discovery phase, because if you don't go through discovery, then you will not be strong enough, as strong as you need to be when you get to your earning. Because in discovery, you're going to have to dig deep. That's going to be a workout. Okay, some people are going to walk out of your life. Some people are going to try to stump on you while you're down, and you're going to have to be able to dust yourself off and get back up and keep going. So I don't want you to skip all of the phases that you get to before you get to earning. And it's okay for you to isolate yourself and take time. See, some of the celebrities that you see right now have gone through the wilderness portion of their life. And if they haven't gone through the wilderness portion of their lives in this life, they went through it in their past life. Yes, it's a real thing. Because wherever you end is where you're going to begin again. Do you hear me? So this is all about ascending.